I have no idea. That's how I grew up, though.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up. It was Super Friends at 7 a.m. I mean, when I was a child, I had to I had to get up at 7 a.m. or I'd miss Super Friends, and I loved superheroes. That was my thing, so I had to catch that one. So I was always pissed on Saturday mornings if I missed Super Friends. And then as I got a little older, Dungeons and Dragons is another classic cartoon morning favorite for me. So I love those Saturday morning cartoons.
Yeah. Well, I I actually kind of wonder, maybe we'll get some more international fans that might not have that. We would normally record, at 2 a.m. for our our friends in Europe, right? And now this is middle of the day for them. So this might be nice. It's in the morning. This is not going to be something that happens very often or ever again. But
No.
just a couple of scheduling conflicts that forced us to push here. I don't know. You said you're not a morning person though. Are you a coffee guy? Is it just like you get through, you don't get going until noon, or what's your deal?
I've always been a night owl. So like my whole life, I've never been able to go to sleep. Like when I've had bedtime, I don't do good with bedtime when I was a child. I've always been a night owl. On like Thursday, Fridays, they work downtown, so I got to catch the early train to get to work. Even on those days, I cannot force myself to go to bed early. So I'll get maybe 3-4 hours of sleep. Last night, I just can't sleep. So I went to bed like at 1:30 last night. I probably didn't go to bed till about 2. So I got like 6 hours of sleep last night. And that's just my normal when I have to wake up early for work. So weekends, I tend to sleep in. But even on weekends, though, I set my alarm at 10 a.m. I feel if I sleep past 10 a.m., that's laziness. So I have to get up at 10 a.m. on the weekends, which is, I don't know where I pulled that number from. Just a weird number.
Oh my God, 10 a.m. I mean, I haven't been sleeping to 10 a.m. since high school kid or college kid,
Saturday,
probably.
10 a.m.
Holy
And
moly.
then for game days, though, it's rough because I wake up literally at 10 a.m. and the first thing I do is I have to start getting the site prepped. I have to make sure I'm ready to catch the inactives because I do a quick article for the inactives. So Sundays are challenging, but it's I just can't sleep at night. I'm up all night.
That's kind of fast. I mean, I think writers in generally they're more towards the late nights. But there's that saying, like, the best times to write are like really early or really late, and sometimes they cross over. You see people walking past each other, been up all night writing, and some people getting up to write. I guess I am kind of more of I don't know. I think I can do both. If I can have a nap in the afternoon, you know what I mean, like a little power nap. I can get up early and be productive, and I can stay up late and be productive. But I need a nap. I need to steal back some sleep somewhere. So, but yeah, I think it might stem back honestly from football, because we had so much early morning stuff to do in football.
I hated that.
And so you just get used to it. To some degree. I mean, it was every morning in the summers in high school where you had to be there at like 6 a.m. And it's, I think that sort of stuff sticks with you. But yeah, well, I appreciate you being willing to relocate your normal podcasting headquarters. And
yes, I'm in a new background here. So very strange.
I told you I owe you coffee. I have my coffee here. So should be good to go. Anything before we get into this thing?
No, I'm excited. This is our first Bear and Balance. We're gonna be able to give away a Portillo's gift card. So that's just cool. I'm excited to get this one started.
Yeah, a couple former offensive linemen getting to give away beef. Like, that's
beef.
This is the dream. We are now currently living it. So excited that we got that partnership, and they've been really great. So we're excited to get that going. Finally got the gift cards from them. Was it Thursday? Yeah, it must have been Thursday. Yeah. And sent them off to you. I've got them here, guys. So here's upside down. Got a Portillo's gift card, and no joke, $100 gift card. Each of them are $100. I know in this economy, $100 isn't what it used to be, but it's still $100. That's a lot of beef.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I'm excited.
Those of you joining us on the live stream, looks like we got a few. Feel free to hit in the comments section things that you had from the other night or any other questions you want to ask. Lester and I will hit those up at the end of the show. We will get going here though and record our podcast. Welcome to Bear and Balance. I'm Jeff Berckes, a writer for Windy City Gridiron, and I'm joined by the editor of that fine website, Lester A. Wiltfong Jr. Lester, we had a second preseason game against Seattle. The Bears rolled into town, and they took advantage of a team that was traveling too much and had a short week, even though they were doing the same thing. Kind of rolled all over the field with them, got away with a victory.
The 2-0 Chicago Bears, that just says it has a nice ring to it. It's practice. I mean, but it's still fun. It's, I'd much rather talk about a win than a loss, even if it's a practice game. So I'm good with it. It's a nice win for those guys. I think the culture is starting to be established, and like we said, practice games, preseason game doesn't really matter, but it matters for those players. It matters for those coaches. They're going through the motions, doing what they have to do, getting ready for the season. So it's a good thing to get a dub.
Yeah, I think that, someone brought up, the Lions season where they didn't win a game. They were undefeated in the preseason. Yes, we realize that preseason results don't matter. And we've even talked about how much we're not really sure that the win-loss record is what we need to keep in mind too much in this regular season. It's more about the product on the field and, young guys developing and all that. But I think there is elements, and I think we'll get into this in the show a little bit. There's elements of what this new regime is bringing that really benefits in a preseason game, because you had the roster from top to bottom playing hard and swarming the football on defense. But all three phases look disciplined. They look like they knew their assignments. They're ready to play. Again, certainly some blown coverages and things like that. I mean, there was mix-ups, but overall the effort was there, and where both sides were dealing with the exact same thing. They're dealing with a short week. They're dealing with travel. They're dealing with guys that, are going to be starters that aren't playing. The Bears just look like a much more talented roster.
These teams are in similar spots. The Seahawks and the Bears, both going through a bit of a rebuild or a reset, whatever you want to call it. But the Bears did look like a much better football team from top to bottom, and that's good to see. That's testament to the coaching, testament to the general manager and the scouts, and it's like you said, it's a good try hard competing bunch, and it shows through the whole roster.
Well, let's get into our categories. We start off every episode of Bear and Balance in the trenches, and big announcement for us is that the Trench Tribute this year, we are partnering with our friends at Portillo's. Unbelievably cool to be able to partner with one of our favorite restaurants. Lester and I actually ate at Portillo's after the training camp practice that we went to. We should have taken a picture, but we weren't sure that this partnership was going to go through.
Still in the works,
but it came through. We're really excited to partner with them. $100 gift card every week. So no joke.
That's $2,000.
To have a lot of beef. A lot of beef. You joke that you're glad that I have the gift cards, which is good because there's not one in town. I don't have a Portillo's in town. So Portillo's, by the way, Des Moines is a really good market. You should probably come here. But I don't have a Portillo's in town, so I have to travel to there, which I actually am today. I'm going to have some Portillo's later today because I have to travel today. But we have a $100 gift card that we're going to give away after every episode this year. So every game, and we're going to do it during this segment. So the Portillo's Trench Tribute, because the beef. This was your idea to use this segment to give it away. And what you're going to do, if you want to participate, if you want a chance to win one of these gift cards, is like and subscribe. Wherever you're getting this stuff, make sure that you're hooked into our network. If you're on Twitter, make sure you're following us and you're liking these tweets. And if you're on the YouTube, we'd love you to subscribe to the YouTube. If you're on Facebook, make sure you're subscribed to that. Wherever you're getting your Bear and Balanced, make sure that you're subbed there, you're following there, whatever. Like the tweet that we're going to put out for the Portillo's Trench Tribute, and then give us your Trench Tribute of the week. And if you don't want to give a lineman, you can give a player of the week. That's fine too. But give us who you thought really stood out to you in the game. And then a couple days later, we will draw for that winner for that week. We'll contact you and we'll send you the gift card.
Exactly. So like it wherever you're watching the video, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Twitter, whether it's Facebook, or for you guys on Windy City Gridiron who always like to watch the show on the embed, just leave us a comment there, and that'll get you guys, in the contest too. And then for our podcast people, same thing. If you're listening to the pod, because we're going to share this as a podcast on Twitter and Facebook as well, give us a like on either the show on the podcast for Twitter or Facebook, and all those places you have a chance to enter. And then in a few days, we'll do a random number draw. We'll pick a number, pick a winner, and then we'll announce it through social media. And then, of course, we'll announce it again on next week's episode. So $100, man.
Yeah, I mean,
beef, hot dogs,
it's a lot of beef.
Shakes. Oh, I'm ready.
It's many trips through the drive-through, or
Yes.
it's like, hey guys, I got it tonight, right? Like you're going to a party and you're gonna pick up the tab. Either way, $100 at Portillo is gonna go a long way. So very excited to do that. So the actual category for us, your answer. I'll start off. I actually thought that you could go a lot of different ways, but to me, it was a lot of different ways on the defensive line this week.
Okay. Good.
And so for me, I'm gonna shout out your boy, Sam Kamara. I thought he was constantly showing good pressures. Now, Bears were able to pin their ears back and rush the passer a lot in the second half, which is when he was playing most of his snaps. But he looks good. Like he looks like he's got a chance to make the roster, or at least be retained in a practice squad type situation. He comes off the line pretty quick. He's got some juice. He managed to get a sack right there at the end, converging in the backfield there. I think it was a deep drop by that backup quarterback, but still, you'll take it. But I thought that in camp, you pointed Kamara out as a guy that you really liked. And so when he started popping, I was like, oh, Lester's guy, right? So the second half, I found myself continuing to watch Kamara, and I thought he deserved the Trudge tribute this week.
He had an interesting start to his NFL career. He was a defensive tackle at Stony Brook. Okay. Who the hell's heard of that college? No one's heard of it. And then he comes to the Bears, and as a defensive tackle, what is he now in Chicago? Oh, now you're going to be a 3-4 outside linebacker. So he had a big conversion, last year at the old regime. And then when the Bears made the transition to a 4-3, I wasn't sure if he was going to be an edge at defensive end or go back to D tackle, maybe as 3 tech. But, he put the time in to kind of change his body, become an edge, and that's where he's been. And he's still a bubble guy. I mean, he may not make the roster, but I think he has a chance to stick around in some capacity, whether it is at the end of the roster or on the practice squad. And I just like him. He's a good player that seems to always show up and hustle. I think he's a good fit for this philosophy because, like I said, the hustle's there. He's always going all out. So, yeah, I like Kamara. I think he's a good football player.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he can stick. But he certainly did himself some favors in this last game. So, what about you?
For me, I'm going to go with old reliable Cody Whitehair, who, there's a lot of talk that he was going to get cut. When the new coaching staff came in, the new GM came in, and I just never saw it because cutting him at the point, there was no benefit to the cap. So if you don't have a benefit to your bottom dollar, why cut a guy, especially when he's still able to be a starter? And that's exactly what's happened. He's still a starter for this team. He seems energized with what's going on in Chicago. He talked about it. I think he likes this new staff. I think he likes the new regime. And maybe he was just worn out from the Nagy stuff. I'm just speculating here, but it's possible. I mean, because he did not have a very good year last year. You got to be right mentally and physically. There was something off with him last year. So far in preseason, he's been good. And I actually had a chance to go back and watch the tape this week. And I graded 3 different Bears. This is one of them. Only 9 snaps. So take this for what it's worth. Plus 9, 100%. He did his job in every play. There wasn't a lot going on. But he looks like he's going to be that good veteran presence. Plus, man, Cody Whitehair has taken on the mentorship role too. We saw it in camp. He's done it with Zach Thomas, the rookie. He's done it with Braxton Jones, who's lining up, right next to him at left tackle. So, Trench tribute. This is my first ever Portillo's Trench tribute.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like we had the chatter in the off season about Cody Whitehair, and then we haven't really had to talk about him yet.
That's good.
which is good. That's what you want, right? Like he's like, oh, you just plug him in, and that's what you want. I mean, my theory is that he was fighting something that wasn't disclosed last year. You know, some kind of nagging injury that could sort of sapped him a little bit. I also think that you know it is tough in a well in a in the Nagy environment. I'm sure it was tough, but I also think when you have when you're not working well with the guys next to you, that can be part of an issue as a especially as a guard, right? Like
Yeah.
if you have a center or a tackle that you know you're not working well with in concert, I think that can definitely impact. And I think we'll get into a little bit here, but you know that idea of an offensive line figuring out who needs to be on the field and then getting them on the field and then letting them gel and work together, because a lot of it's feel, you know, it's a lot of it's like, okay, I feel good enough to leave this block so that I can peel off to the next level, because I think this guy has them handled. There was a lot of combo blocks last year that Whitehair was involved with that felt like he stayed on a little bit too long and didn't peel off into the next level and let linebacker would come in and make a play. And is that Cody Whitehair's fault? I mean, I don't know. You have to secure that first block first, because if you come off too early and that defensive tackle then just slips by the guy that you know just splits off and makes a play in the backfield, that's worse, right? So there were a lot of plays that he was involved with last year that I felt like just looked like a comfort level wasn't there with who he was blocking with. And then I do think that maybe he was just dealing with something. So hopefully he can come back to form, because he's a good lineman. I mean, he has shown that he can be a very high quality starter in this league. So hopefully he's back to that.
Agreed.
All right, tweet of the week. I went back. I wanted to tee us up for a conversation, so I went back to a one Mister at Wiltfong Jr. Yeah, you made it.
Man.
You made it. So Lester, I knew that. So we have had this conversation repeatedly. We've had it on this show. We've had it off air. We've had it in emails. We've had it in text messages, right? Like we've had this conversation a lot. But I went back and I found a tweet of yours from March 1st. It says, Bears GM Ryan Poles said it's too early to determine where Tevin Jenkins ends up playing. He also said he believes they'll play their best five along the O-line. That last line is important. June 14th. Also from Lester, Bears head coach Matt Eberflus said that everything is on the table to get their best five O-linemen on the field. His answer was prompted from a question asking if Tevin Jenkins could be moved to right guard. August 16th, the Bears intend to play their best five on offensive line, and if Jenkins is ready and healthy, I can't see him not being one of those five. This is something that you and I have talked about. Yeah. And you have been loud and clear that if the Bears are committed to getting their best five offensive linemen on the field, Tevin Jenkins is one of those best five. It sure looks like Tevin Jenkins is going to be the starting right guard for this football team.
I mean, he was a tackle all offseason. There was no talk about him playing guard at all. I mean, they seemed committed to him at tackle at that point in the offseason. You know, for whatever reason, something happened. You know, no one knows what happened there. I was listening to the Bears post game with our guy Robert Schmitz, and he speculated that maybe there was something internally where he just didn't want to be a guard. This is something he was speculating on the show, and then when I heard it, I'm like, you know what? I was thinking kind of the same thing, but I'm like, nah, no one else probably thinks that. When he said it out loud and I heard it, I'm like, man, maybe there's something to that. Maybe he just has to work through the team saying, hey, we don't want you to do this. We want you to do this. And to him, that's like, in his mind, is a demotion. In his mind, that's a slight on his ability as a tackle. So again, just speculation. Maybe that took place. You know, maybe he had to work through some stuff, and you know, it's a different game there. And I think we even talked about him last year when the Bears picked him. I have no problem if he would have stayed a tackle. I think he has tackle skills. Okay. But he also has guard skills. I mean, it's some guys is not a good fit. Some guys you can't. A lot of times you're here in the draft, oh, if you suck to tackle, move him to guard. That's not always the case. It's different. Guard's a different position. Things happen differently. The angles are differently. You know, it's a little different movement skills you have inside there. So Jenkins going inside the guard, in his mind thinking, man, it's a demotion. You know, in the long run, tackles get paid a little more. But if you can be a great guard, let's see what happens here. And I think Tevin Jenkins has a chance here now because he's just too good. He's too good of a football player.
Well, we just got done talking about Cody Whitehair. Cody
Yeah,
Whitehair was a tackle in college and then got moved inside. Cody Whitehair has shorter arms. He doesn't have the length to
yeah,
be an offensive tackle in this league. Now, you look at Tevin Jenkins and you think, well, this guy's gigantic. He clearly he fits all the size requirements. He actually does have a little bit of shorter. He's on the
he
shorter
does.
side of
Yeah.
short arms, right? And so if you have a philosophy where you believe that you need that length, which a guy like Braxton Jones brings you, right? Like I think Braxton Jones's arms are a couple inches longer
They are.
than Tevin Jenkins, right? So if that's a philosophy that you have from a scouting principle that you're bringing down and you're pushing into your roster, you come in and you see this Tevin Jenkins and you say, well, I had him as guard. And there were plenty of people that did, right? There are plenty of people that said, yeah, he looks like a good prospect, but he's a guard. Now, as terms of the play, I would assume that there are certainly some people that listen to this podcast that played offensive line. I would assume that most people don't, right? I don't think we're all offensive line in our audience. Uh, I played, along the offensive line. I played all of those positions. I was better at some than others, but that there are to me, and I've probably said this a few times on different places, but to me, playing tackle is about negotiating the space and being able to feel comfortable handling the space between you and the defender, particularly in the pass pro, but also even in the run game, trying to find that block. When you play guard, it's on you fast. Like you are instantly engaged in the block, and you have to deal more with strength and leverage and anchoring down and just constantly. It's a more in some ways it's a more physical position because you're constantly it's a very quick hitting position. I as someone who played more felt more comfortable at guard. I'll put it that way. I hate it when people say it's a demotion. It's a different position. Maybe it's not as highly compensated, and maybe that's part of the thinking here for long term. But you can still make a lot of money playing guard in the
Yes.
National Football League, and if you are best suited and you trust your coaching and you go out and you destroy at guard, you can make a career for yourself. If you go out at tackle and you're just not really quite suited for it and you're washed out of the league because you insisted on trying to play a position that maybe you're not best suited for. I'm not saying that I know Tevin Jenkins is or isn't best suited for that, but if you do that, you might be washed out of the league and you might not have a second contract. If you could be the best at something or be okay at a different position, maybe be the best, right? And if that's what this general manager and this coaching staff believe, then great. Maybe he's in the right position. Maybe he's buying in. Maybe he's getting that taste for football again and he wants to be on the field. Right guard could be a really fun spot to watch Tevin Jenkins' career.
I'm excited for him. Like we talk about all the time. Wherever you put him, leave him the hell alone. I hope this is where he ends up forever. I think it's a good fit for him, especially considering how the Bears' current roster is constructed. I mean, they seem to have enough guys at tackle they're comfortable with the veteran Riley Reef coming in now. Whether he starts or he's the swing guy, he has experience. Borum, whether he starts or he's the swing guy. I think Jenkins at right guard is a great path for him to start. And I think if that's the case, I think the O-line is coming together. They still got some problems. They gotta work as a unit, but having that guy out there, that talent out there is a plus for this Bears team.
Absolutely. What did you have for your tweet?
We always have somewhere along the show where we're really in sync, and this is one of them. So my tweet of the week is from JD Brown. He is at JD Brown Writes, and he tweets out things I can't wait for the weekend, the NFL season to start, and grades on Teven Jenkins from at Wiltfong JR. I'm like, oh, so he's calling me out, so now I have to go back and grade him. I was going to do it anyway, but I had some train issues on Thursday. So I didn't get a chance to watch the game like I wanted to. So a lot of my stuff got pushed back. So I found the time. I did go through and grade him. Like I graded Cody Whitehair. I said only 9 plays. He had 100%. I did grade Tevin Jenkins as well. He had 23 snaps, a little more work there. I had him at plus 19, minus 4. For those that like the math, that's 82.6%. It's a good grade for Tevin Jenkins. Some of my notes on him is better in the run game. Which is to be expected. That's what he was known for coming out of college. The thing about pass blocking from guard when you're used to being a tackle. It's a different setup. It's different angles. You're worrying about the stunts in a different way. It's going to take him some time to understand pass pro at guard.
Yep.
As fans, give him time to learn and grow
Exactly.
there. If that's where he's going to be, and I think this coaching staff wants him there. So it's going to take some time. You know, when you're at tackle, you're on an island more often than not. You know where your edge pressure's coming. You got it. When you're at guard, it's a little different, you know, but the coaching staff talks about they like Jenkins' football IQ. They think he can make the transition to guard. They've talked about it. So I think he'll be fine eventually. But he's going to have some growing pains. You know, it's this stuff going to happen. If Bears fans remember back to Kyle Long, the great Kyle Long guard to tackle experience, when he played right tackle, his first half of that season being a tackle, he was terrible. As that season wore on, he was much improved as a tackle that season. You know, I think it was the Packers game. I actually went and graded those two that Kyle Long year. The first game was, I think, week 1 against the Packers. He was awful. The next time he played the Packers later in the season, he was really good. So it's going to take some time, but I think it's a good fit for him. And again, like I said, I'm excited to see how this line comes together with him now as a guard.
Yeah, I went back and watched him, and I'm curious to see if we will see an evolution in his technique, even in the run game, because it looked like he was. I'd like to see him engage in a block and try to drive for a little longer, like really latch on and try to move his. He can move his man, right?
He can.
But he's kind of instantly getting that punch and push right away, as opposed to like latch on, steer that guy for a few steps, and then try to finish. And so that's, to me, that's just what I saw as something that jumped out. Like, okay, he's just, he's trying to basically push his guy from the start, and maybe that's the technique that they're teaching. I mean, I'm gonna claim ignorance that I don't know exactly what they're going for, but generally, when I think of a guard, I'm thinking of a guy he's looking to latch on to that shoulder pad right here, and so that he can then steer that guy. Put his body in between the defender and the running back. Move him a few steps off. Whatever. But when I watched him, it looked like he was kind of like, I'm going to just bench press you into out of the play if I can, which felt a little bit more like a tackle. I don't know. It was just like I'm curious to see if this technique improves, or because I think that's the fun part about playing in the interior, is when you latch on and you can really drive in. And when he figures that out, he's gonna love it, because that's where you start getting pancakes. That's when you start figuring out that you can, when you have the right technique and you start driving, you can start moving piles. And this is a guy that can do that. You like watching Quentin Nelson for the Colts and guard highlights? Tevin Jenkins could put some guard highlights out there once he starts realizing that that's how you get him. So I'm excited to see if his technique improves throughout the year. Let's move on to stats. Caught up in a numbers game. My stat of the week is 8. That is the number of penalties over the first 2 games, preseason games for the Bears. Last year, I think they had something like 19 penalties through 2 games. So again, it's fake football, whatever you want to say. It's preseason football, it's practice football, whatever. I do think this is emblematic of a sea change here. This is a new regime that is emphasizing a philosophy. We've talked about a lot. This hits philosophy, and that S it stands for playing smart. And I think part of that is reduction of number of penalties. And you're seeing, I mean, these are guys that are, the 78th guy on the roster, right? That is out there getting snaps in the second preseason game. These guys aren't going to be around during the regular season, but yet they're still playing some pretty disciplined football. They're swarming to the football. They're out there. The takeaways have continued to clearly be an emphasis here. They're going after the football. But I was really impressed with how much cleaner they were than their opponent. And if that's something that can translate into the regular season, that is going to keep the Bears in a lot of games, because they're playing hard and they're playing smart.
That was my number last week. I had the penalties number 5. This week, 3. So it's I think there were 2 more that were declined. They don't count, So like you said, it's the hits philosophy permeating through the entire locker room. they're all bought into this. They all understand it's disciplined football, and we didn't always see that the last few years. It's cool to see that how quickly they're starting to come around. But I guess if you think about it, the last time the Bears had a philosophy like this, in the building was in the Lovie Smith era, and we saw how quickly some of that mentality left them the next year when Mark Trestman took over. I always think back to that football on the ground, and it's like it just sat there until I think it was the Packers picked it up and ran it in. It's like that never would have happened in Lovie Smith, Rod Marinelli in that era. It never would have happened. It happened in Trestman's era. This is something that Coach Matt Eberflus, Alan Williams, his entire staff, they all drill this into their head. The ball's in the ground, pick it up, punch at the ball, takeaways, turnovers, always hustling. And I think it's going to be, again, the wins may not be there this season, but it's going to be fun to watch this group really just compete.
Yeah, it's going to keep them in games. Yep. I think it's going to keep them competitive. It's going to be entertaining. They're going to be a fun team to root for because they're playing hard and they're playing smart. And I think I think that's a way to win the fan base over with a roster that may not be ready to compete at a high level from a talent standpoint, but if you have the right philosophy. And I think it's one of those, like, you can only major in one, maybe two things in college, right? Like, you can't have 16 majors across campus and take 38 classes. There's only so many things that you can emphasize to a football team. And if this is your philosophy, this is what you're emphasizing, this is what it translates onto the field. I don't know if that translates to championships, but it translates into good, clean football that keeps you competitive in football games throughout the season, even if your talent's not there. That's Lovie Smith was, like you said, they were in a lot of games that they wouldn't wouldn't be otherwise, right? Or they would win games because they were winning the turnover battle. It's a good philosophy. I mean, I think it's easy for Bears fans to understand it, and it kind of fits with what I think Bears football has been, historically for most of our lifetimes. But what did you have for your stat this week?
My number this week is the number 32, and that is the Seahawks didn't score in the game until there's only 32 seconds left on the clock. That's mostly first team Bears defense, second team Bears defense. The Seahawks played their starters a little bit more than the Bears did, but the defense is playing good. And we just talked about a little bit, it's that hustle, it's that intensity, it's that they're playing with. And I saw this stat on the Bears team site. The Chicago starting defense, 2 series, both 3 and outs. But then this is the part I saw is Seattle's first 10 possessions, the Bears held them to 6 3 and outs. Again,
oh wow,
defense is back in Chicago, and it's hustle, it's intensity. It's cool to see, and again, it's going to be a fun to watch this group on defense come together.
Yeah, I think this was just the first half. This might have been Geno Smith snaps. 3 and out, punt, missed field goal, punt, 3 and out.
Yeah,
I mean that's. And that, again, they kept Geno Smith in, who is playing for the starting job. They go, well, they didn't have their starting quarterback. He might be their starting quarterback. Drew Lock is the other guy. It's not like Drew Lock is this obvious upgrade from Geno Smith. So
their starting the starting O-line was in quite a bit too for Seattle.
Yeah. This is a team that's going to not be very good, but no, who cares? Like, it's it was good results. They got off the field. How many times last year did they, just give up these long drives? Let's talk about Justin Fields. Very short outing for him. Just had the one drive, 5 for 7, 39 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Led the first team offense to a field goal, and then his night was done. Really, I'd say the one. He kind of tried to scramble for a yard, looked pretty awkward, kind of ran into the back of his offensive lineman. It looked like he might have bailed pretty early. But also just kind of a weird scramble that was maybe a little odd. And then he had a kind of a rollout where he set up and then he fired a missile into the back corner of the end zone that was incomplete. He had, I think it was Equanimous St. Brown sitting there for a first down, could have extended the drive. It was a 2nd down and 4, I think, at the time inside the red zone. Could have just picked up the first down, kept the chains moving, decided to go for the big throw. It was incomplete. Then they did not pick up the first down on 3rd and kicked a field goal. So if you're being nitpicky because you only have a small sample size, take the first down, move the chains, give yourself a fresh set of downs. He went for the big play and it didn't work.
I thought he played okay. Again, there's some things he has to clean up. He's still working through a new offense himself. He's seeing, a live defense here just for the second time. So it's coming there. My big takeaway from this Justin Fields through first 2 weeks is you see his scheme fit with what the Bears are doing. You see how he fits into the scheme. You see what they're trying to do with the bootlegs, the play action. You kind of see that happening. I like the flow we're getting of play calls, not only for Justin Fields, but for all the quarterbacks. It's vanilla, but it's still different. It's hard to explain. It's just there's a rhyme and a reason to what they're doing now.
Yeah, it's an offensive system.
Preseason. It's a system. It's just preseason, but you see, okay, this play is being run. Oh, it's because it's setting up this play. This play looks just like this play. It's cohesive and it's beautiful as a guy that enjoys offensive football.
Again, the last guy had a collection of plays that he liked. This is an actual philosophy that's built on the shoulders of giants, right? This is an offensive philosophy that takes actual football theory and builds on itself. The run game works with the pass game, which is mended by that play action, right? That is what I have been asking for for years. Like, if you've been listening to anything that I've been on, that is what I've been really trying to push. This idea that everything works together as opposed to separation, right? Again, when the last guy said, I'm firing this guy because the run game didn't work, and that guy was responsible for the run game, I thought, no, you're responsible for the offense. Yeah. And the offense includes the run game. They're not separate. They work together. They complement each other. And that's what I think you're going to see more than anything this year is you're going to see an actual philosophy where those run game, play action passes, and the pass game all work together under the same philosophy. And I think that the best play was probably that play action bootleg out to the left, which for a right-handed quarterback, right, is a little bit harder because he's got to find a way to set his feet. He sets his feet and he fires a strike and an intermediate route to Cole Kmet. It's a really nice play. It's a really nice play design. And here you are, Cole Kmet, right? I mean, he's going to be put in a position to succeed this year. He's going to be, I think he's going to be the number 2 option in this offense. I think he's going to have a nice number of targets and catches. And statistically, I think he's going to be set up for success here. But that's a philosophy play, right? I mean, as much as it is physical play for Justin Fields to get out, set his feet, fire a good pass for Cole Kmet to run the right route to make the catch, do a little after the catch. All of that is true, but that is a scheme and philosophy success right there.
That play is also one of the few plays that Dan Orlovsky was nice about the Bears. It was one of the few plays he talked about. It's the rollout happened and Justin Fields had the awareness to know that, hey, I got no one around me. I can't flip my hips and get set and throw a perfect ball here. And it was a great play. So I mean, he has some stuff to clean up, but work in progress. He'll get there.
All right, we'll take a quick break. On the other side of this, we will get into everybody's favorite category, the 3 Bears. All right, Lester, we're back. So let's talk the 3 Bears. So hot bowl of porridge, cold bowl of porridge, and the just right. So let's start with the hot bowl of porridge. I'll go first. I'm gonna give it to Darrington Evans, the running back. 8 carries, 39 yards. That is a 4.9 yard average. He had a touchdown. Every run that he had was a hard-nosed run. Like, he looked like he was really got a shot out of a cannon, was really carrying tacklers with him. Thought he played really well. I was not impressed with him in his week 1 carries. And so this was a nice bounce back for him. I thought there was a couple of examples of guys that had some bounce back performances, maybe underwhelmed a little bit in the first game, looked better in the second game. But I thought he had the best bounce back for me. I thought he looked pretty good. I don't know if he'll make the roster because I don't think there's enough room. But I think that he definitely put on a show there. A nice night out of Darrington Evans.
He was a sneaky signing when the Bears got him. It was after the season ended. I think they might have actually got him through waivers because it was still really early in the offseason. he just didn't have a chance to shine in Tennessee, obviously, because, they have a pretty good stable of running backs. Plus, I think he had some injuries, but, he's a 4.4 guy. He's got good speed. He's a good build for the position. Like you said, he may not make the roster, but I think he's a guy that has to stick around on the practice squad for sure. He just brings a nice element, a nice change of pace, and we'll see what he does in the pass pro. We talk about all the time, the running backs that are your reserves, they have to pick up the blitz. They have to know where that's coming from. And we saw it again this last game. There was some issues back there. And that's one of the things about David Montgomery's game that's not talked about a lot. He's a good blocker. He understands what's happening in the pass game. He understands the big picture. And that's what you need in a tailback. And that's why David Montgomery, a lot of fans are ready to, his carries are going to be cut a lot this year. I don't know. If Khalil Herbert, Trenton Gill, or Evans, if they're not understanding the blitz pickups, they're not going to put them out there.
I mean, I am the biggest Trenton Gill fan that this team has to offer. I don't think he's going to be out there in pass pro. I think Treston Ebner might be, but I don't think the punter is going to be.
Oh, what the hell did I say?
Hey, everybody, it is early in the morning. We're giving Lester a pass, but I'm telling you guys right now, the punter is not going to get any carries in this offense.
He is a pretty big guy. He's like, what, 6'4", 220? Come on.
Listen,
let's see what he can do out there.
Listen, can we let's burn this now. I got a nickname for him.
Okay.
He's going to be the guillotine. It's great, right? It's great because he's dropping it. He's dropping it. He's cutting off drives before they begin, right? Anyway, I love it. There's something there about the punter. We're going to call him the guillotine. But no, I get what you're saying. I've seen the backup running backs have some pass pro issues, and it reminds me a little bit of that infamous Mark Trestman quote where they asked, what's the most important thing for a running back? And he said, pass pro, which that's not what people wanted to hear. But it's one of those things where running back has to understand pass pro before they can get on the field. He didn't answer it probably in the right way, but that's it reminded me of that quote too. But yes, I think that needs to be cleaned up for some of these guys before they see more snaps. And David Montgomery is very good at that. So what about you? Who had your hot bowl of porridge?
All right, this is a reach. I'm going to admit it right on the top here, but I wanted somewhere for us to talk about Cole Kmet in this whole thing. And
okay.
Just 7 reps for the big tight end, 2 catches, 31 yards. We saw them scheme up that screen look for him early. He made a guy miss. He powered through and he picked up a few extra yards because of his size. You talk about that play, the route where he came across on the play action, and he made the nice catch from Justin Fields. He didn't have a lot of running blocks for me to kind of look at, but the few that he did, he was okay in. I just think we see a little bit of a quick snapshot of how he'll be using this offense. Play action stuff. Get him loose on some screens. He is a big body target. He was good down the seam in college. Bears didn't use him that way. So these play action routes where he's coming across, they'll set up the stuff where he'll come across and now he'll kick up the seam depending on the coverage. So I just wanted to talk about Cole Kmet a little bit. Like I said, I know it's a reach, just 7 snaps, giving the hot bowl of porridge to him. But for what he did, I thought he had a nice game.
Yeah, suddenly this podcast has become a Cole Kmet stand podcast. And
I apologize.
Very much shocked by that revelation because this is not somebody that I wasn't instantly in his corner by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not a hater. I mean, I was like, let's give this time. Plenty of people in our circle are like, this guy's not going to make it. He's not going to be worth anything. And like, we're talking about tight end, right? Tight end is that position that takes a few years for guys to figure out and actually produce. Tight end, right? That's what he plays. And so I just want more. I just want more data, right?
Yeah.
This is the year for Cole Kmet, right? I mean, if it's going to happen, he's going to show it this year. And when you're at camp or when you're watching him in the preseason, it looks like it's going to happen. I mean, that's to me. So I'm there thinking like I'm in his camp. I think it's going to happen. It still might not. There's no guarantees in this world, but I think that he's put himself in a position, and this offense has clearly prioritized him. That I think that if I was going to bet, I put my chips on Cole Kmet. There's your bumper sticker.
There it is.
You're gonna place a bet, put him on Cole Kmet.
Especially for the guys that do fantasy football. I think
Oh,
he's in
he's a steal.
for a nice year. The touchdowns, he'll have more than 0. That's I don't do many guarantees, but this is one I'm pretty confident putting out there. Cole Kmet will have more than 0 touchdowns this year.
All right. I love it. Turned it around, cold bowl of porridge. Now, again, Bears did quite well. I have an answer that I really want to give. I'm going to give cold bowls of porridge to everybody on the ESPN crew because, like, what is this? It's like that they wrote out their script before the game started that the
Exactly.
Bears were terrible, and then the Bears started actually doing better on the field than the Seahawks. And it just was like, how do we explain this? And I don't know the story of Louis Riddick. Is that his name? Right. I don't know his story exactly I know he has, maybe he has GM aspirations. Maybe he doesn't. I know there was some ties to potentially bringing him. A lot of Bears fans wanted him to come to Chicago. Maybe he believed that was something that could have been in his future. I think he was maybe close with Matt Nagy. Maybe he didn't like the Matt Nagy situation and how it played out in Chicago. I don't really know. I don't know him that well, his story, whatever. But man, it felt like he was a jilted lover or whatever, whatever that he just everything is coming out. Dan Orlovsky, I just don't know what he is, but I don't think he's a booth guy. I don't. He didn't seem very prepared. And honestly, even Steve Levy, like, you're a pro, you should be able to pronounce Nathan Peterman's name and not Nathan Peterson. You should know that it's Justin Fields and not Josh Fields, right? Like, I don't understand these guys. Like, did they just not prep? Like, what happened here? So I'm going to give them the cold bowl of porridge. If you want it to be a player, I think you got to probably give it to the Jones, the corner, number 35. Looked like he got roasted a little bit. Just out of did not provide very good coverage. But I also want to give him credit. Like, he kept getting targeted and he bounced back and made a couple plays and had that goldfish mentality, as they say, like, have no memory and come back and fight the next rep. So I don't actually want to serve him a cold bowl of porridge either. I thought that I give him compliments for bouncing back and trying hard. So to me, ESPN crew gets the cold bowl.
I knew, I had a feeling you're going to go that way. And if you haven't read it yet, Greg Gabriel, former Bears scout, worked for the Giants, in the league for a long time. He was pretty pissed off about the ESPN broadcast too. So he actually wrote an article about it. It's on the site now. Make sure you check that out. It's got a ton of traction. Fans seem to really enjoy that because as Bears fans, we all had the same thing. We're watching the game. We're like, what are these guys talking about? Seattle had to travel. Okay.
They're at home. What are we doing?
Short week. What?
Yeah.
Come on. Let's get out of here with the names. Of course, we're getting names wrong. They just, they kept pushing the narrative that the Bears team is bad, but the Bears team was kicking Seattle's ass the whole game. It's like, what do you do? It was funny. For me, my cold, I had a hard time going through this. I was kind of trying to figure out who it was. And ultimately, I settled on Daz Newsome.
Okay.
The muff on the punt, it was unfortunate. There was some traffic there, but this is 2 weeks now. He had another drop this week. I just think he's not doing himself any favors. As it was, he was a bubble guy, but the way he's been in these last 2 preseason games, even the touchdown last week, he kind of bobbled, So I think Daz Newsome, he doesn't add much as a special teamer, especially because the Bears seem to be pretty strong in that area as a punt returners. They have a few guys that can do that job. So I think Daz is I would not be surprised if Daz is one of the next cuts when they cut down to 80, just because I don't see any value he adds to the team right now.
I agree with you. And I think it's when you look at him versus the guys that have similar skill sets or bring in similar roles, those guys are doing better, right? Even like a guy like Simba Webster, who's had a little bit more of the up and down. He's put some good ups on. Like, I actually thought about saying him for the hot bowl of porridge. Like, he had some good plays. And so I think that if you're looking at who are you competing with, right? Like, he's not, Daz Newsome isn't competing with, he's a wide receiver. He's not competing with Darnell Mooney, right? He's there to fill a role. And there are guys either with more experience or they're just showing out a little better. And again, the last regime drafted him. This isn't, I know a lot of people were excited about him. He's got a fun name, but I don't think that it's really going to pan out for him given the performance on the field. I think you're right. He probably could be amongst the next round of cuts. So just right for me. I wanted a place to talk about Velus Jones. He had a 48-yard punt return. He had a 31-yard kick return. They manufactured a touch for him in the pass game. I think that those were the good, right? I think that some of his route running didn't look crisp yet. So curious to see where that goes, because I think we all thought that he would come in with a little bit more of a mature development in his route running. But, we'll see. But I do think that this is a guy that they're going to try to find a way to manufacture touches in the offense in, kind of that 2-3 a game where you want to be able to get the ball in his hand. And then clearly he's going to be a factor in the return game. He's got juice. And so I wanted to make sure that we talked about him, and I thought it was good to just right for a debut for him.
It's perfect because this is kind of how he'll be used in the regular season. He'll be your returner. They'll manufacture a touch or two for him each week. He'll get some reps as a receiver. And if that 4.3 speed can pop for you one of these times, awesome. But he's a threat out there for sure. And that's a good place for him this week.
What about you?
I'm staying offensive line here.
Okay.
I'm going to go Braxton Jones. Again, just 9 snaps, but I did grade his play out there, and I got him +7, -2 for the math people. That's 77.8. He has some things he has to clean up again. The bull rush got him again this week.
Yeah.
You have to anchor that a little better. You have to sink your hips a little better on that. It's about the leverage on the bull rush, and he's a guy that will come around to that. He's not a small guy by any means. He has good long arms. He just has to understand when it's coming and set himself for that better. A rookie left tackle, it's very rare. But the Bears clearly are sold on Braxton Jones because he played only the 9 reps.
Right.
Get the hell out of there with the rest of your core starters. Some starters played more. The core starters got the hell out of there, and Jones is that guy. And I looked this up the other day. If he starts week 1 for the Bears at left tackle, which unless he's hurt, he's going to start at left tackle for the Bears week 1. The last time the Bears started a rookie left tackle was 30 years ago.
30 years ago? 1992? 30 years ago.
1992.
Stan Thomas, is it? No, he would have been late 90s.
Troy Azine.
Okay. Yeah. I remember that name.
He was a second-round draft pick of the Bears back then, but he's the last starting rookie left tackle week 1 for Chicago. So if Braxton Jones can pull it off, and it looks like he will, it's cool for him.
Yeah. Okay. Not a very long career for that particular left tackle. So hopefully
3 or 4 years in Chicago, I believe.
Hopefully Braxton Jones
he was okay.
Longer.
Braxton Jones hopefully can have a little better career in Chicago.
Yeah, I think that was the thing that stood out to me was they were like, okay, you're the cream rises kind of thing, right? Like, okay, like we got you the 1 rep or the 1 series. You're out, go hang out with Cody, right? It's like, oh, okay, right. And 2 of the projected starters didn't play because Lucas Pax was coming back from an injury, of course, and then Riley Reif. I think they're like, yeah, we know who you are. Like, you're fine. We're not going to put you out there in the preseason. So, if that's your 4, and then you add Tevin Jenkins to that, they haven't really practiced or played yet. It's going to take a little time to gel. But again, what we have been saying is get your best 5 out there. And if that's your best 5, what I've been saying is I just want 5 guys that can play. And I feel like those are 5 guys that can play and they'll figure it out. So again, week 1 against Nick Bosa, maybe not, right? Like they're going to have some trouble, but give it time. I have confidence that this unit can come together. So good to close on offensive line, just like we started. So we'll close the podcast here. Reminder about getting in your picks, your Portillo's pick of the week, Trench Tribute. Can be somebody else too if you want. Obviously, you earn brownie points if you pick offensive lineman, defensive lineman with us, but that does not bear on the drawing. Just name somebody that you thought deserved some highlight here for this second preseason game. Wherever you're getting this content, we'll do some random number generation and we'll figure out the winner and be in contact with you for your $100 Portillo's gift card. make sure you're checking out everything else on the podcast channel. We're going big with YouTube here. We've got some stuff that it's going to be happening. So make sure that you're watching that. That's going to be dominating here in the next few days once we get that squared away. And otherwise, anything else that you want to promote here, Lester?
Nah, just, check out the site. We got a lot of stuff going on. The video channel. I think we're going to tease the video stuff after we cut the pod off. So those of you that are here on the video, stick around. We're going to have a little announcement. I think it's time. I just can't wait anymore. I think we have to get it out there a little bit because it's already on the site. I broke the news, a soft open on the site. So for you video guys that are hanging out with us, once we close the pod out, I'm going to talk a little bit about that.
Perfect. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. And we will see you after the third preseason game. And until then, bear down. All right. So, yeah, big announcement for us in the YouTube and those of you that have been following us and have subbed to this channel. We've come to have a big conversation with our good friend Robert Schmitz. And we are going to merge our channels. But the thing about that is you can't actually merge the followers or the subscribers from that. So if you are subscribed to this Second City Gridiron channel and not Robert's channel, the RPO YouTube channel, they're going to merge into one, but we're going to be going, basically Second City is going to be taking over that particular channel. And so please come over there. Like that's where you're going to find all this stuff. And we've got so many really cool things lined up that we're very excited. We're going to keep rolling them out slowly as we get ready to, but it's a really big announcement for us.
Yeah. We really appreciate all you guys that have subbed to us here on Second City Gridiron. Pushing 800, our growth has been at a great percentage. Each week we're growing and growing and growing. And then Robert came to us and said, hey, you know what? My channel is not as active as Second City Gridiron. Robert does some outstanding videos over there. I love what he does. And the cool thing about it is nothing changes. The only difference is now the Second City Gridiron is going to have over 10,000 subscriptions because that's how big, his channel has gotten. So it's cool for us. We're going to reach a bigger audience. We're going to add, again, we're adding his stuff now to the channel because it's his channel. So we're going to add his stuff. So video breakdowns, X's and O's stuff, all our podcasts. We're going to also have some exclusive video only content that isn't going to go to the podcast. So it's cool. We have a lot of cool stuff planned this season on the YouTube.
Absolutely. I'm really excited about it. Again, I don't want to spoil too much because, you gotta kind of string it out, right?
We're just waiting on Robert to make the official announcement on his end. He has a cool video work right now. Yeah. So his plan is once he debuts his video, I'm not going to spoil who that is, but he has a player breakdown video coming up. Once he debuts that, he'll make his announcement then. We'll do a co-brand for a month or two. And then at some point, we're just going to say, hey, boom, now we're Second City Gridiron. So sub over there.
So like you say, you'll still get Robert's stuff. Robert's going to be doing a little bit more, polished production work with some ideas that we have that we're working out the kinks on. We're going to try to get. We're going to keep doing this. We're having too much fun. We're going to keep doing this. We're going to have this Q&A at the end of recording our podcast. I'm working with EJ, try to figure out what Bears Over Beers is going to look like. We're going to do something similar, but we're going in a different direction this year that I think you guys are going to be really excited about. Robert and I have a project in the works. Lester has a project in the works that he's working with Robert on. And then we're going to try to get our other peeps involved, right? We're going to try to get Taylor involved. We're going to try to get Bill involved. So there's going to be a lot of really good Bears content. I think it's the best Bears content out there. And I think that it's definitely going to be worth your guys' time to check in and see what you like and give us feedback on what's working for you. So I want to hit up some comments. This came, Robert came before we even started. Where are the donuts? Man, like I'm trying to eat healthy. That's a whole nother conversation. But we did bring the beef. We didn't bring donuts, but we brought the beef. We brought cake shakes too. I mean, like, come on. number one Bears fan comes in and says, she's up at 6. I can confirm that, she is up early, and then she would drive. This is my mom. She would drive to the convenience store to get coffee every morning. And even if it was like 3 feet of snow on the ground, I don't know, 3 feet of snow, but like, a foot of snow on the ground, I think I can make it. Yeah, she would run out for that coffee. So she
That's
was,
dedication.
she needed that coffee, but she
That
didn't.
fits the hits philosophy right there.
Yes, that's true.
Intensity,
Well,
hustle.
yeah, maybe not the smart
Maybe not
part.
the S. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe she might have struggled on that part of it, but she needed it. That's for sure. Yeah, Robert, stay. The Facebook stuff can sometimes be a little weird.
Trevor
So
Simeon did a nice game though.
he had a nice game.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, no, he's there's no quarterback controversy in Chicago. Chris Jenkins is a tackle, but if playing guard gets him on the field, I'll take it.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but I think sometimes it may just be a philosophical thing, and they had their mind made up. So I don't know. Like you say, get your best 5 on the field, and maybe this works. Maybe this works for him in the long term. Maybe this works for the Bears in the long term. And at some level, the decision makers are trying to put these guys in the best position. That their jobs are on the line too. So yeah, I think he could be an awesome guard. Really.
Again, I think it comes along with how the roster is constructed. Right guard is the best path to get him on the field. The Bears seem to have some guys they're comfortable with a tackle right now. Jenkins in that mix. Yeah, he could probably be a starter at right guard for you, but he's for sure going to be a starter at right guard. So let's go. I'm good.
I love the emoji usage here, Brandon. Appreciate that. That was a real nice bonus when we named the show, that we could just use some emojis when we tweeted it out. I was big into that. Appreciate that, Kevin. Talk about a Bears win and a big cup of coffee. I don't mind it. Like I'm kind of charged up in the morning. I wonder about like Robert. I think that Robert, like you just kind of like spin him up in the morning, and he just like whirling dervishes the whole day. I think his energy level is probably like just set at a constant 150%, because I've never seen him not just like look like he just finished, polished off a dozen pixie sticks. Like that's, I think, his base mode. But I know I kind of do this, but once I get coffee, like I'm pretty charged up in the morning, and then I can usually go late as well. Yeah, I wanted to. This is a good comment here. You had a background cat. No, I shut the door, so my cat.
Did my cat hop in here?
Yeah, there was a cat in the back, played with the
curtain.
No, the string for the lamp.
Really?
Or I think that's what that is.
I didn't even notice the stupid thing. God,
yeah, kind of bad at it. Wow. What's the cat's name?
Cooper.
Okay. Not a Bears related name.
I don't, my wife has the pets. I mean, they're my pets now, but they're my wife's, they're her things. We have 2 dogs and a cat, and I didn't really have any naming rights to them because I don't want any pets in my house. But I'm a cat person and a dog person now, apparently. So
I like cats, so I can't. I mean, I like dogs, but I like other people's dogs. I don't really want to have my own dog, to be honest with you. It's just a lot of like, what do you do with the dog when you travel? What do you do with this? Whereas the cat, it's like, yeah, just have someone come over and feed it. They take care of themselves. Yeah. Simeon, very good backup. Yeah, I think he's a good backup. I think that's what he is. He's a solid backup. I don't think there's anything too much more to say about him, but I think he's a solid guy. And if you needed to start from him, or you needed a series, as Justin took care of some things, I think that's fine. You don't want him for multiple games. Thank you, Robert. This is a Cubs hat. I love this. Cubs hat. This is one of my favorite hats. It's one of the rare times I've paid full price for a hat, because I saw it and I was like, I have to have it. But Cubs, Bears, like, they're all Bears. It works. You got the Hallis B on.
I got the B. I got this for Father's Day. We were at the mall and like Father's Day weekend, and I saw it. I'm like, oh man, I never see the script B. I've always wanted the script B because it's the coaching hat. I think it's cool. And my wife's like, okay, this is your Father's Day present. Let's go. I'm like, all right, So this is a nice one. I like the B. Head coach.
Yeah, it goes back to Hallis. It's a the Hallis thing. I think they made a big deal about giving the B hat to Eberflus. Said like,
it was a cool video.
It was a cool video. It's touching, right? I liked, I got the history up behind me, right? Like, I mean, I'm all about the Bears history, but I think I'm a softie. I like that stuff.
You are.
Guillotine as part of
Look
the
at
Bears
that.
revolution. Derek, yes, you got it, man. Like this is going to be a thing. I love nicknames. Here's the thing. You look back on football and nicknames were everywhere. Like everybody had a nickname. And some of them are really cool and they're fun. And then they just kind of stick around, right? And like, oh yeah, like Deacon Jones, like he gave himself that nickname, but still, like that's pretty cool. It's a very cool name. But there's plenty of like really cool names in the history. There's not a lot of cool nicknames anymore. And so I always try to push for us to have nicknames. And if they start getting circulated, I want them to try to be part of the part of the lexicon, right? Like I wanted them to be part of how we talk about these guys. That's why, like, chicken salad for Tariq Cohen. Some people don't like the nickname. I think it's funny, and I've never heard it before. And so, like, I kept using it when it got established, and then I had Pro Football Reference add it to his page because, again, it's established as a nickname, and he actually said he liked it. And so, like, let's make sure that that's recorded. So, like, 20 years from now, if somebody wanted to talk about Tariq Cohen, they would go in and they would see aka chicken salad, right? I love that stuff. So I want, if I can create a nickname, great. But I just want to document and get it out there and make sure that we're having fun.
Let's make this a thing. I'm going to write about it now. Like when I talk about Trenton Gill, he drops the coffin corner in.
Drops the guillotine, right? Inside,
drops the guillotine.
Inside the 10 punts, right? Like drop the guillotine.
It's funny because it works because if you hear him talk, he seems like such a very nice guy.
Yeah.
Like that. I talked about it before that the rookie video the Bears did, where they had all the rookies talk. He was the last rookie, of course, because of the draft status. They're all like fired up, they're going nuts. They're all like excited to be in Chicago, high energy, and then of course the guy picked before Gill, Elijah Hicks, doing push-ups on the deck, fired up. Here comes Trenton Gill. Hi guys.
Hi.
I'm happy to be a Bear. I'm like, oh my God, this guy is awesome. Such a nice dude. And the fact that he's got this badass nickname now, we're trying to push on him, the guillotine. I think it's perfect.
Like think about like a punt though. Like, he's dropping a punt in like, right. Like a guillotine. Right. Yep. And so like, then the next step is we get this established and we get this kind of like following. Maybe we make t-shirts up or whatever.
Oh,
and then he has like a celebration for like, like he's dropping the guillotine, like after he drops a punt inside the 10. It's a thing. Like this is going to happen, guys. We're going to make the guillotine happen. Derek, hot spoon of Cole Kmet porridge. Yeah, it's a small, it's more of a cup, right? Yeah. It's not a whole bowl, but absolutely. Yeah, Cole was fired up. Cole Kmet was fired up after that catch. Absolutely. Agree about that. Cloudy. Says Jason, how do you say this last name? Leiser?
I don't know. Sometimes beat guy.
Gushing about Kmet last podcast, but he's been critical of him in the past. Yeah, I mean, I think you are seeing people come around. So I think that's that.
It's really nice though when people that cover the team or they write about a team or they talk about a team that they allow the narrative to shift with the facts on the field.
Right.
There are some people that do this, whether professionally or podcast, blog, whatever it is, they get something set in their mind. They don't care what happens. This is it for forever. And it's nice to see, like, I've always prided myself on, hey, I'm going to call it like I see it. I don't like talking about it much, but the Mitch Trubisky era, I was all in on him after those first couple of years, but the facts in the field, the data on the field, my narrative on him changed, and that's okay. I think that's fine. So if a guy like him with the Sun Times, if he hates him, now he thinks, hey, this guy's coming around. Good. Tell the truth. That's what I like to see.
Yeah, I mean, I was at the opposite of that. I never really saw it with Trubisky, and I tried to like make the best out of what I saw, right? Like, oh, I think he can be like a good fantasy player. I think he'll make a step, from production standpoint, but I never really saw it as like a natural talent. But I wasn't taking victory laps when it didn't work out for him. Do you know what I mean? Like, I called exactly what his contract and where his landing place was going to be after he left the Bears. A lot of people say, oh, he's going to have a chance to be a starter. And I was like, no, he's going to go to Buffalo. He's going to back up Josh Allen. He's going to sign 1 year for, $2 million, whatever it was. And that's exactly what happened. Like, but I wasn't like, I didn't print it off and frame it and show
Yeah.
everybody, right? It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, okay, fine, like that's fine, but move on. It's not really great to be right about that kind of stuff. I don't
I'm still
want
rooting
that.
for him. I like him as a
Yes, he's a
person.
good guy.
I hope he has some success in Pittsburgh. I think he has a chance.
He's
We'll
got an
see.
opportunity.
He does, definitely.
So there you go.
I like
Uh,
this one.
number one Bears fan wants to know how Leno played. Yeah, they called out that Charles Leno was out there again.
That's two
Underprepared.
years ago.
Yeah,
Good God.
absolutely unprepared, and honestly, kind of pretty embarrassing. I just think in general. Yeah, a lot of Dan Orlovsky hate. I appreciate that. Yeah, that might be true. Louis Riddick trying to get on the good side of Seattle ownership. I don't know what was happening, man. It just seemed like jilted lover syndrome. Um, okay, Kevin, that's a little blue to put up on screen.
It's true though, sometimes, I guess.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah. Yeah, Stanton Thomas was late 90s. I don't know why. He definitely wasn't 92. I can't remember what year. If only Jack.
That's 30 years ago for you. That's you were just a pup.
I would have been 10 years in 1992. So yeah, that's a tough. Thanks, Chris. We are excited. Like this is really cool for us. So we're gonna have fun with this one. It's a really good sponsor for us and perfect in that segment. So yeah. Well, it's our channel now. It's going to be our channel, Cloudy. When we're going to combine here, but Run Past Opinion is still going to continue. It'll be it's going to Run Past Opinions. I think it's going to turn into Robert's show.
Yes.
And so he'll still do a lot of the things that he was doing. If you guys were joining him for those things, you'll not miss out on those. But the beautiful thing is it's going to be more stuff. Yeah. There's going to be more cool stuff.
It's just the branding. It's like turning on channel 7 and watching their lineup of shows. You check on now the Second City Gridiron. We're going to have a lineup of shows, and with Robert stuff that the fans of his channel is his Wednesday 4-hour X's and O live stream, which people love. He breaks down the film of that. That's going to be on the channel like always. His cool high production videos that he does. That's still going to be on there. And then, of course, when he does the neat green screen stuff, he does that sometimes too. So nothing changes. Just a new home for all of us together. We're all on the same team, so let's do it. Let's all be on the same team with a bigger platform.
Yeah, I think Cloudy. Now that I'm reading a little more, it was just answering somebody's question up above, not saying it can't be ours, right?
We'll link it in the comments on YouTube, and I'll try and link it in all the places we share this video, just so everyone knows what's going on.
Yeah, we do appreciate the OGs coming in and subscribing here, and that's Lester did give out the package, Bear stuff, and $100 Portillo's gift card.
We did. I said the package will be going out pretty soon. Some t-shirts, some. Just some odds and ends. Every now and then I get stuff sent to me, from whatever vendors, whatever it is. And, some stuff is like, oh, this is neat. Some stuff is like, well, that's neat, but doesn't really fit what I'm going to do. I think I got like a nice Bears plaque of some sort that's going to go out there. But clearly the winning part of this prize package to our winner for the subscribers contest is that $100 Portillo's gift card. And Portillo's does ship to all 50 states. So even if you don't have one where you live, call them up, go on the website, get that stuff shipped to you.
Yeah, and $100, even with shipping costs, you're going to be fine.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. And Derek mentions that he does gaming streams from time to time. I mean, his plan is to do the all 22 streams, into the future. So if he can fit them in the schedule, he's going to do them every week. So like that's going to continue. We'll end on this one. Cloudy says, think the starters should play preseason game 3. Heard conflicting reports on that. Yeah, I mean, I think if you need the reps, you need the reps. But otherwise, like you're trying to stay healthy, go in. They haven't had a lot of time yet, and they cut them pretty short on this one. And I think it was because it was the short week. So I don't see a problem with getting them ready and giving them some time. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, we haven't seen how coaches do it yet, because last year was the first year of the 3-game switch. This is the first year, obviously, with Coach Flu. So we don't know what the philosophy is. If it was me, I think that depending on the situation, I think you play those starters a little bit. there's a bye week now between the end of preseason and the regular season. So I think it's a good opportunity to get some guys some reps. I don't think it'll ever be to the point where it was back in the day where that third game was the dress rehearsal to where they would play those guys through the entire first half, let them come out and open up. I think some situations it makes sense. I think in Chicago it could make sense. Justin Fields, first year in the offense, second year as a pro. Maybe let him go through the mechanisms of the halftime. Let him go through that as an offense. I think may be good for this team. But if they don't, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I'm fine with it either way. But I think that they should see some time. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I don't have any inside information, obviously, but I think it'd be more than welcome to see some reps for the starters here coming up, and then we're done with preseason, and then we can focus on the actual slate. We can start prepping for the 49ers and all that they bring, because they've had an interesting offseason too. This is a team that was in the NFC Championship game last year. Plenty of talent, good coaching. They've got a new quarterback, and they've got playmakers on both sides of the ball. I mean, they've got a good team. They've got a good team. So, all right. Well, we're going to end it here. I gotta hit the road. That's why we're doing this as early as we did. But really, thank everybody for joining us and sticking with us.
That was cool. Yeah, appreciate it, guys.
And morning coffee and all that. Again, Lester's not a morning person, so don't count on this. But I think it worked out.
Yeah, I'm not a morning person, so I mean, I'll do whatever I have to do to grow the brand. I'm a team player, so if I have to get up, I'll get up. But you talked about naps earlier. I'm not a nap guy, so I'm up now. I'm just up for the day. I won't go to bed now till 2-3 in the morning. Then we'll start up tomorrow. But I do have camp today, unless camp was canceled. So
no, camp's canceled.
It was canceled.
I saw. Well, I didn't get I don't think I have the email yet.
I'll have to double check.
But I had. I saw a tweet because of bad weather, but maybe that was yesterday. No, that doesn't make sense. They wouldn't have had that.
Yep. Training camp is canceled. This is my second time this year being canceled. I only get tickets for 3.
Maybe maybe it's the field is flooded.
Well, I don't know. I think they just don't. They want to go inside. That sucks.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like that, maybe the field. They figure the field's too wet or something. Because I don't know if maybe you're getting weather. I didn't know that it was going to rain today. Anyway, doesn't matter.
Look at our guy.
Hey, he's back.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks for checking in.
Been enjoying the the Hard Knocks series. It's fun. Again, I don't have anything too much against Detroit. Just remember what your history is. That's all I'm going to say. So,
hey, Don, real quick, I am a Detroit Tiger fan. If that carries any weight with you, I'm Chicago, everything else, but when it comes to my baseball team, I'm a diehard Tigers fan. So, go Tigers. I just
all right, guys.
The people are listening. How dare he?
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll get out of here. Thanks everybody for joining us. We'll see you guys soon.